What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. I wanted to dive into one of our undrafted free agents in cornerback Brandon Codrington out of the HBCU realm. And realistically, he's one of our rookie minicamp tryout winners. One of the interesting pieces is looking at stuff on paper, right? Or at least on the websites. New York and North Carolina both have him listed as 5'9" and about 185 pounds. At his HBCU combine, he was actually listed as a shade smaller than 5'8", so 5'7" and some change, and about 175 pounds. So I think that looks realistic from everything I've seen, checking out highlights and a couple film tapes and stuff. So just keep that in mind, right? You're talking about a guy that is in the realm of the DJ Reed and Michael Carter II stature levels, but he's definitely probably the smallest guy on the team. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that we talk about with areas of concern or opportunities for him where these size limitations are going to come up. One of the other things is he had a pretty bad showing at the HBCU combine in terms of athletic traits, but he did show at his pro day an improvement on those numbers, but they were still pretty average, right? I think it was like a 4.55 40-yard time. I think he had a 4.34-ish three-cone shuttle, some along the likes of those numbers. Best trait for him was strength. Now, pound for pound, he may be one of the stronger guys on the team. He put up 19 reps of 225. But still, there's going to be a lot of things that he's just not going to be able to naturally have advantages for, right? Now, looking at his collegiate career, he was a special of the week 3 times, finished near the top of his conference in the MEAC for punt and kick returns twice. The other 2 seasons, he was still one of the top returners overall, but there was some, I think it was like his 3rd year, he took a step back as a kick returner, although he still had some pretty profound punt returns. And he ultimately finished college with 4 return touchdowns overall, 1 as a kick returner, the other 3 as a punt returner. And he's bringing about 41 games of experience with him to the NFL. So there's a reason why the coaching staff looked at him during rookie minicamp tryout and thought that he was a standout, right? You take a look at what we've seen so far through 2 preseason games, and obviously the return ability stands out the most. But there's also, maybe I don't want to read into it too much, but when MC2 was healthy, Brandon was his main backup. And I believe since he's been out, he's actually been getting run with the first string as the starting slot guy, right? So I think that speaks volumes into how quickly he's picking up on this defense and being able to translate some of his skills over. He did have 10 pass breakups in college. Overall, not the most active defender, right? I think mostly people respected the return ability, but it's not like he's, bereft of being able to play cornerback whatsoever. So taking a look at some of the things he does well, right? Scrappy, tenacious, those are all things that are going to have to be synonymous with Brandon's name when it comes up and you're going to talk about him, right? I think when you're an undersized guy at any position, you need to have that gladiator type mentality to where I'm going to fight you in phase every single time, right? I'm bringing the fight to you. I'm not really waiting for anything to come my way. And I think that's definitely shows up in his game film. Looks to contest every ball. He's disciplined attacking the run, which I really like, especially at his size. It would be a lot easier to kind of drift off to the side and hope somebody else steps up, right? Or just try to get in the way. He's not really looking to do that. He's looking to go and see if he can land a hit and help his team out. He's generally in position to fight for the ball, which is something I really respect. It's not a ton of, those situations where as a cornerback, you may have been, beaten on the route, or you somehow have the recovery speed to get back into kind of contesting the ball, or at least making it look like it, but realistically you did nothing to impact the play. The ball goes off the wide receiver's hands, and you see the cornerback celebrating if he had a pass breakup or he did something spectacular. Not generally the case with Brandon here, which I really, really like. Most times you're going to see him be able to turn the ball into a contested catch situation, some kind of 50-50 ball where the quarterback has to have great accuracy and ball placement, or he's giving the wide receiver a reason to not be able to securely bring it in, and I can respect that a lot. There's also a bit of duality in terms of his special teams ability. We talk about his returns and the touchdowns he's got and the big plays, but he's also made some plays as a coverage player. 2 blocked field goals, had a number of tackles. I believe he led his team in tackles a handful of times over the course of his career as a coverage player on special teams. He's better in man coverage due to his instincts than zone, in my opinion. And I think a lot of that just comes from some eye discipline stuff. One of the other things to keep in mind here is that he played mostly on the boundary in college, right? He's definitely in the DJ Reed mode where I imagine Saleh looked at him and immediately said, slot cornerback guy. There's no way he can do anything else. And at least to DJ Reed's credit, to MC2's credit, when you take a look at him playing boundary in the Eagles game, they have still a height advantage on him. They have a weight advantage, right? And then, of course, also the experience aspect to it. So this isn't a guy that I think would be a candidate to move to the outside. But just think about it from the perspective that him transitioning into the NFL, he's now working at a position he's never really done in college, with ample opportunity. We'll put it at that. He's a short tackler overall. We'll talk about some areas I do have some concerns here for him. But there was a comment during his HBCU combine where Bucky Brooks was impressed by his hands and thought that he should get a look at wide receiver. Now, I look at that and say that if he ever does refine his ability to have eye discipline, to be able to go out there and put himself in position to jump certain balls from a mental standpoint, this sounds like great. It's a great thing, right? Probably going to be rare, but overall, it's not a situation where I see him being like an ultimate gadget guy where you can put him in for offense in certain packages and know that you have a short-handed guy that maybe has some underrated burst or something like that. Not really the case. Athletically, he's a little disadvantaged compared to the rest of the NFL. And no matter the hands, it just, you have Xavier Gibson, right? Let the guy that has experience handle it along the, not to mention Malachi Corley and some of these other guys. Now, the opportunities here. Every single thing, if I didn't mention this before, is literally coming from the focal point of his size limitations, him not having overwhelming athletic traits in terms of speed, agility, acceleration. So projecting him here is a little tough, right? But strictly a slot cornerback, so you're not talking about a guy that's going to have a ton of versatility for Saleh's defense. Didn't have any interceptions in college, so as great as the hands that Bucky Brooks thinks he has, even with him getting 10 pass breakups, he hasn't found a way to help his defense get turnovers, right? And again, a lot of that with his limitations means that he's going to have pretty much picture-perfect technique, eye discipline, route recognition, and then, of course, the talents of some of the guys he'll be surrounded with in order to go out there and roam a little bit and find his way to the ball, right? You talk about some of these guys like Ashton Davis, for example, who just seem to have a knack for being around the ball or being a magnet for the ball coming to them. Can't say the same for Brandon here, right? He's just a scrappy dude that it's interesting because like his level of play to me just it has a bit of self-reflection, right? He understands he's going to be at a disadvantage almost 99% of the time. And he's looking to really just minimize damage, right? And when you're looking to do that, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to have that ball hawk mindset. And that's perfectly fine. Plenty of great cornerbacks that were never great, takeaway players. So it is what it is. I think the fact that he's been able to come in and be a backup to Michael Carter II screams value because you do have JBC. You do have Brandon Echols, who has inside-outside versatility. JBC, a guy who loves the mental component of the game, who understands the necessity for strong fundamentals, and yet is Codrington that's finding a role to be able to back him up. There are some fumble concerns. He's put the ball on the ground a handful of times over the course of his special teams plays. And open field tackling is going to be the biggest concern, right? If he's left on an island, or even if he doesn't necessarily have immediate help, right? Guy that needs to make a sideline play. He's a guy that can be, I don't want to say easily broken, easily targeted for broken tackles. But more often than not, that's going to be the case, right? I don't have any concerns about somebody shifting him out of his shoes or anything like that. But when it comes to just mano-a-mano on an island, jump ball situation or quick pass to him, you can have a guy that can just run through his face mask potentially and then go out there and get a big play. So, again, another one of those things that you have to just kind of keep in mind as a defense if he finds his way into playing significant snaps. And as far as his coverage techniques go, sometimes, and again, this goes into the mindset I mentioned about him minimizing damage, he can provide too much cushion, which allows a bunch of plays underneath and stuff. To that point, he does do a great job of being able to go up there and make the stop and not have an extra, 5, 10, 15 yards on top of that. But again, there is a lot of things to be wary of when it comes to him just purely from a size standpoint. There's a reason why physicality and some of these traits still matter. Now, at his position, maybe you can get away with it a little bit more. There's certain ways you can try to hide your slot cornerback to a degree from a run defense standpoint, and from him not being isolated as a primary defender. But let me know what you guys think. 2 preseason games into things, hearing what I've been hearing from training camp with a couple standout practices. He looks like a guy that could impress. There are going to be some struggles because at this point it may be tough to keep him and stash him on the practice squad. Are we going to keep 6 cornerbacks to try to retain his talents, at least as a special teamer, and see if we can develop anything further for him as a cornerback? Who knows? But let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you again. Peace.